Welcome, welcome. You are listening to our Breakthrough Podcast. I am your host, Vernae Taylor, and I thank you so much for being here. For those that are just joining us for the first time, we are the place where you can actually get a breakthrough map to go from breakdown to breakthrough, from pain to purpose, from your past to living your greatest story. So I appreciate those that have been locking in and plugging in. Each week, we air every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. UK time. And so I am excited about the guest we have today. And I'm going to have her introduce herself. So tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name is Tamika Reed. I am a single mom, a self-published author of 4 books. Plus, I am a narrator of my first audiobook. I love, 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 and enjoy inspiring others to never give up. I am also a motivational speaker, and I am working on my 5th book.
Ooh, okay. Wow. That was good. That was good. You gave us a lot. So I don't even know what we want to peel back first. I do want to tap into these books. And you said you're working on your 5th book and you said audiobook. So that is just a lot. You are just really accomplished. And we want to just dig deeper a little bit to see how you arrived to this place that you wanted to be an author. Take us to that moment, that defining moment when you're like, okay, I'm going to publish something for the world to see and read, or for the world to hear, right, with your audiobook, and what that was like for you to actually give yourself, the push to do it, because I know it's a scary place for it to kind of put yourself out there. So tell us about that.
So what it is that I never imagined writing a book. This was never my plan. So I always say that this is God's plan for me because I never imagined it. But what made me wanted to do it was hearing people say, Tamika, your story needs to be told. Share your story. You should write a book. And I never wanted to because I just felt like my story was too personal and too emotional. But when I realized that it can help others, I said, you know what, let me go ahead and write this book. So being able to motivate others through my story and encourage them to never give up, I am so happy that I did write the book. So that was my motivation, to get ahead, put my story out there, because I want people to know that you are not alone. There are so many women, whoever it is, there are so many of us going through some stuff in life. And when they hear someone else's story, it just makes them believe like, hey, listen, if she got through it, I can get through it too. I'm not alone. And that's what I want to put out there. You are not alone. You can get through it. If I got through it, you can get through it too. It's possible. It is possible.
Yes. Well, honey, she said she's a motivational speaker. So she's coming with the motivation already. You can get inspired by the fact that she said, listen, people told her she needed to tell her story, and you answered the call, you understood the assignment, and it took a lot of courage to do that. So tell us, first of all, why you had that apprehension when you say, oh, it was too emotional, it was too personal. What was it about your story that you felt like you didn't want to tell the world? Because I know a lot of times they say, oh, the truth will set us free. And we want to leave out certain things. We don't realize it's those little nuggets and that part of our experience that people really need to hear, like you say, so they know that they're not alone. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So I lost my first daughter's father 2 weeks prior to losing him. We were robbed at gunpoint in our own home. So after the loss of him, I lost my mother a year later. Now, growing up, me and my mother, we did not have a good relationship, but before she passed away, we became so very close. And there were some issues that I had to deal with in my home when I was staying with her, and she did not believe me. I went through a situation with my stepfather, and going through that has not been easy. It wasn't easy at the time, and then having her not believe in me, it just took a toll on me. So after the loss of her, I also lost my second daughter's father. So losing him, that was a lot. And I'm like, God, why do I keep losing my loved ones? What am I doing wrong that I keep losing the people that I love, And after that, I lost my grandmother. I also lost my sister at a young age. So dealing with the loss of loved ones has not been easy. And so I just want people to know, like, I've been there. I know what it feels like to lose someone. Because even when I lost my first daughter's father, I felt like my life was gone. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to do anything. But luckily, I still had my mom at the time to instill in me that I needed to be strong for my 1-year-old daughter because I was giving up on her. I didn't want to do anything because I felt alone in this world. I felt alone. I felt when I met my first daughter's father, I felt like there wasn't anything or anybody that can touch me and do anything that I didn't want done to me. And I felt like he was my protector. So losing him, I just felt like my world was over. Like my life was it just ended, but I'm here, I'm still standing. And I just want others to know, like, you can get through anything. It is possible. If God led you to it, you have the power to get through it. And I believe that wholeheartedly. You just got to hold on to that faith and keep on pushing. So dealing with the loss of loved ones is not easy, but we must know that our loved one will always be in our hearts.
Wow. Well, first of all, that was powerful, and my deepest condolences for all of those losses. And the fact that, just the way that you present yourself and the way that you're smiling and the way that you're speaking with such positive affirmations and optimistic about the future just really goes and speaks to the character of who you are, right? And the work that you've done. So is it, if possible, is there a way that you can talk a little bit about your process and how you got through? Let's talk about that first loss. I mean, you mentioned gunpoint. If there's anything that you can share as to how you got back up again, right? I know you mentioned your mother, because my goodness, mothers and grandmothers and just any type of maternal type figure in our lives, they're so key, especially in a time like that. So thank God you did have your mother at that time to help you through. But what other things did you do, or what did you tell yourself, or talk about that moment that you were able to get up and dust yourself off and say, okay, I'm going to conquer the day, or I'm going to do my hair, or I'm going to, feed my child, or we're going to go outside. What was it like for you to get to that point? Because sometimes when you're low, it's like, I don't know how to get up. I don't know how to pray. I don't know what to do. Talk a little bit about that.
My motivation was my daughter. So I knew that I had to be strong for her. I knew that there wasn't anybody that was going to take care of her the way that I could take care of her. And I felt like I was being selfish, giving up, knowing that I have her, who's going to take care of her? So I had to get myself together. I had to say, Tamika, you got this. You gotta take care of your daughter. She needs you. So you gotta stay strong. It will get better. You will get through. And it was a fight. It was a fight. It wasn't easy. It was not easy, but I had to encourage myself daily. And I had to believe that God had a purpose. There was a reason, and I was alive. My daughter is here. I was blessed with her. So I had to be strong. I had to. But I would like to say to others who may not have a child, that will motivate them to stay strong, is to just have faith in God. You got to have faith in God and know that God has a purpose. There is a plan. And sometimes we can't see what that plan is, but we just have to trust and believe that everything is going to be okay. And you got to keep on.
Yes, that's beautiful. And shout out to your daughter. I bet she's beautiful. I know you said that she was 1 year old. So, she was little. And you're right. Something about a child's eyes, you look into their eyes and they have such hope. They have such promise. And they're so innocent. And I love the beauty of a child, right? The innocence, you look at them and you're like, wow, you see what the world could be, right? And I know that's why God says that, we need to be like childlike, we need to have childlike faith, because it's something about them that's just fearless. They're relentless in getting what it is that they want. And they just bring light with them. So children are such a blessing. So I know you talked a lot about your faith. Talk about where, did you grow up in the church? What was your faith walk like? What was that journey for you? And when did you when did you have your first encounter with God or Christ? And how did you know that you were rooted and grounded in your faith?
I used to go to church when I was a little girl. Sometimes I went to church as a punishment.
Oh, Lord. Didn't we all?
Yes, and so I love going to church. You know, I used to read my Bible, you know, and
Aw.
yeah, and I have an aunt, which she's a pastor. So I did grow up in the church, and I just felt like when things was going wrong, I will always look up and say, God, I know you are there. I know you are there. So
Wow.
going to church all of that time, it just built up my strength in my faith. Just going to church and reading the Bible. I have so many favorite scriptures, Proverbs 31:6. Like that's like
Yes.
I just
I love
love.
that
Oh,
one too.
it's just so amazing, like how just growing up in the household with my mom, she always kept the Bible out, you know, always kept the Bible. And every time it was just so funny. Every time I would lie or somebody will lie or whatever the case may be, in order for her to get the truth, although I could have been telling the truth, but she probably thought that I wasn't, she'd be like, put your hand on the stack of Bible.
Oh my goodness. She swore you in like like they do in court.
Yes,
That'll get you to tell the truth.
yes, but I loved and enjoyed going to church. And that's like my only way of having that faith is just believing in that God, you know, believing in the things that you cannot see, you know. And so
Wow.
it's just there. It's just there. And knowing that I'm able to motivate others, inspire others, and encourage them to never give up because I am strong-willed and I know that God got me and God got you too.
Yes, yes, the inspiration, the motivation. I'm telling you, you need to be taking notes. You need to play this back, send this to someone that can use the encouragement because like you said, even if you didn't have your daughter, you were rooted in your faith. I love the idea that you said that you were already going to church. So you came from a family where, you know, you had a pastor, you had your mother that was, you know, grounded and rooted in her faith. And like you said, you knew the word. And so that was important. And I like how I could actually picture it. I like how you said you looked up to God and you said, God, I know you're there. You know, so you knew he was real. You knew that there was somebody watching over you. And just again, a childlike faith. Children, they believe you and they take you at your word. You say something, they believe you. There's
Yeah.
no doubt in their mind. And that's exactly why we need that. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. So I want to talk a little bit about how you say you're on book number 5 almost, right? And you had audiobooks and you said that you had a friend that, you know, told you you need to tell your story. So if you can talk a little bit about that conversation or what was leading up to that conversation where you're like, okay, I'm going to do it this time. Because I'm sure you had, you know, words already written in a journal, in a diary, you already had something typed out. But how did it make it to print where it's like, okay, now you're handing it to the hands of a publisher or an editor? Talk about that moment.
Okay, so after my friend told me, well, after I lost my second daughter's father, my friend found out about it. And she was like, Polly, because they used to call me Polly. She said, Polly, you need to write a book. You need to share your story. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that, you know. But then when I got the phone call from my oldest daughter aunt, and she told me, she said, the spirit is telling me to tell you to write.
Oh,
And I
see? And that's
know,
the one that's the pastor, right?
no, this was my oldest daughter aunt, her
Oh,
father
okay.
sister. And she called me and that's what she said. And when she said that, I'm like, oh my gosh. But
Confirmation.
growing up, I used to journal. I used to write songs, poems. Every time someone close to me has passed away, I will write a poem and have someone else read it. And so
Yeah.
I never looked at that as if it was important. It was just something that I was doing like a hobby, but I will always journal, not ever thinking that all my journalings was going to become a book. I never imagined it. So after my friend said that, and then my daughter's aunt said that, I was like, okay, you know what? It's time.
Okay.
It's time to get this book. And so I'm putting the words together. I'm writing a memoir. Pushed the memoir to the side one day because my youngest daughter, she used to run to the window and say, Mommy, Daddy. And it used to scare me because at this point, her father was deceased. And I looked out the window, I see all these beautiful stars. And all of a sudden, the children's story just popped in my head. And I said, I'm going to write a children's book. I pushed the memoir to the
Oh,
side and I started writing a children's story. It's like the story was already in my head. And so that's how I came up with Cody and the Shining Star. So that was the first book. Never imagined it. But with God,
oh,
all things are possible, right? And
yes.
so just those confirmations of writing the book. And here it is. You go from the memoir to writing a children's story to help a child cope with the loss of a loved one.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is
So
so
that,
beautiful. I have chills. Oh, I can cry. It's so beautiful. I can literally picture your daughter at the window and looking
yes,
up at the starry sky. Like I can see the illustration. Like that's just so beautiful.
yes,
Oh man. I'm glad you listened. You hearkened to his voice. You hearkened to the voice of
yes,
others, because
yes,
for those that are listening, sometimes God can speak through someone else, especially when we're hard-headed, especially when we're stubborn,
right.
or we're not hearing him clearly, because sometimes we
That's
have to
right.
block out the noise. So good for you. Kudos to you. So you did the
Yes,
first book. The first book was the children's book, and children's books are I mean, that's so needed because we don't talk about grief enough. And of course, with kids, sometimes they just don't understand, right? They think, oh, well, maybe they're just gone for a little bit. They'll be back, you know? And so it's really important that we have those conversations with the child so they know, okay, this is how you're going to have to cope, because they're not going to come back. You're physically not going to see them again. And
right.
you don't want them to have false hope. So I
That's
think
right.
that's really important, that you did that book, because we
Yes,
definitely need it. So you
yes,
said the memoir was to the side. Now,
yes.
talk
Push the
about this
memoir to the
memoir.
side.
Now you said that you had all these journals, so I'm sure you had pages and pages and chapters of your life. So
Yes.
when did you pick up the memoir again, and why? Why do you think? What made you pick it up after
Yes.
you got with the children's books?
So I lost my job when I was still living in New York. I lost my
Uh,
job. They told me I didn't qualify for the position anymore. After I was promoted to the position,
how can
with
you wait? How do you wait? Talk about that. You're in the job already, and now am I not qualified? How are you not qualified after you're already in the
exactly,
job?
exactly. But a new team came in and rearranged everything. So that
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, I was down for a moment with that. And I just knew, I was like, okay, God, you opening up a new door. That's what you're doing. You closing this door and you're allowing another door to open so I can focus on my writing. And so that's when I
Mm-hmm.
started focusing on my writing more. And so writing that memoir, I did eventually stop because I moved to Georgia. But things were going so wrong in Georgia. That was my coping mechanism, writing. So I had to write to keep my mind sane. I had to, because I was going through so much. I'm talking about
Right.
losing my place, having to stay with someone else, not knowing where I was going to go. It was just so much going on to where I said, you know what? I got to get this memoir out. I got to get it out. I got to, because being able to help someone else gives me great joy. So when I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to make someone else smile, it just makes my heart melt. So writing that book, I was like, I need to share my story because I need to help someone else. They need to hear my story, you know? And so that's how the memoir came about. I was like, I got to get this book out. So all these years of journaling, I just put it together. And what I did was I just took important details. I didn't want to make my book like a autobiography. I wanted it to specifically talk about the things that I've gone through, the losses,
Okay.
the struggles, the setbacks, the obstacles. I wanted to talk about those things because I needed people to see what I've gone through and how I made it through. And I'm here, I'm still standing. So they can look at their situation and say, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it too. So no matter the loss, no matter the struggle, no matter the heartache, no matter the pain, no matter what, you will get through it. I'm here, I'm still standing, and you can too.
Oh my goodness. Yes, 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 and yes. Oh my goodness, it's so powerful. I mean, it's exactly why our Breakthrough podcast exists, because it's all about the navigational system, right? If we don't know where we're going, if we've never experienced it before, especially loss, sometimes we experience loss from, from a distance, right? We're the outside looking in, trying to console someone else. But like myself, I never knew what loss really was until it was on my front door. So it's amazing. Like we say, when we talk about the word, we are overcome by each other's testimonies. So the times when we can hear, oh, okay, someone else went through it, and they can tell us, okay, I took this step, I called this person, I used this resource, it helps us to know, like you say, that we're not alone, that we can get through it. But it gives us, a vision for the other side. It gives us a vision for the end, because a lot of times we can't even see our way through when we're going through such a difficult time. It's such a devastating time that's unpredictable. So I appreciate that you came today to actually speak to the people about your breakthroughs and about how you overcame these setbacks and challenges, because that's what it's all about. Going from breakdown to breakthrough, and from pain to purpose. And that's exactly what you did with this memoir. So that is like spectacular that you had the courage to do it.
Yes.
Because there's so many times that people are sitting on their message, they're sitting on their story, and they're scared. So talk about now it's out. Did you have any moments where you doubted, you questioned, ooh, maybe I should take that back? Do I want to change this? Do I want to say that? Ooh, is this person going to feel this way? What were you going through before it hit print, like before it hit like the press, right? And now it's in people's hands, or I should say the hard copy, where people actually can read it and touch it. Talk about some of those moments that you had, if you had any, of course, as you were going through, this huge accomplishment.
So actually, I didn't have any moments, because I said, you know what? This is my story. This is what I've gone through, and this is what I overcame. So I'm doing it to help someone. I'm not doing it to hurt anyone. And it was therapeutic for me as well, being able to get it out there, because I felt like if I'm able to share my story, someone else can be able to share theirs too. Because we all go through stuff. Mm-hmm. We all go through stuff. But there was a time when I was like, I can't believe I did this. But I was so proud of myself, because it was something that I've accomplished. I said, here it is. I have a memoir out. But I was like, this is my story. And I'm sharing it to help someone else. That's it. That's the main purpose of it, is to help someone else, because we go through so much. It's a lot that I've overcame. It's a lot.
Yes, you did.
It's so much that people go through, and they are not brave enough to share it because they're too afraid. So when they see somebody else sharing all of what they've gone through, they'll know, like, you know what? She did it, I can do it too. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. Because I feel like this. You cannot be afraid to share your story because you're afraid to hurt someone. It's your story. It's what you've gone through.
Right. It's your truth.
Okay. Exactly. So you can't be afraid to share it. But let me tell you, when you share it, you'll feel so much better.
Yeah.
You will feel so much better. Listen, everything happens for a reason. God will not let you fold. Okay? You may get down just a little, but there is always a way to get back up. Always a way, no matter what. Because God got you. God got you.
Yes.
You may not think God got you, because of what you're going through. Right. But just remember, it can be a lesson in whatever it is that you're going through, or it can be a blessing. You just never know. You just got to get through it and thank God that you was able to get through it.
Yeah.
And move on.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That is extraordinary. Like, you're an extraordinary human being, because first of all, just, I mean, the things that you said that you went through, I mean, all the losses back to back, you know, when you talk about your children's father, oh my goodness, you know, and doing it alone, like you say, feeling like you're losing your protector, you're losing their protection, you're feeling like you know, they're missing out on a piece and it was kind of stripped away. So the fact that you're just so optimistic and you still stay so rooted in your faith is really, really something to talk about, because there are so many people that are, you know, thinking, oh gosh, I'll never make it, I'm never going to get out of this, you know, it's so bad, it's so hard, and they don't even realize that if they just take that one step, sometimes it's like little baby steps, you know, it's just like, you know, you will get there if you faint not. If you just keep moving forward, you know, and that's why I do a talk saying rest but don't quit, because you just never know. If you don't take that step, you won't even know that your breakthrough is literally on the other side of that choice, that step, that chance. And I love that you already knew that your story, it wasn't for you, it was for someone else. It was for someone else to hear it. And I believe honestly that God allows us to go through these things to get over, right? To make it over and make it through so that we can tell somebody else, right? So that we can pay it forward, so that we can grab someone else along and get them across the finish line. So I want to know, and this is probably something someone's already dropped it in your ear, but I want to know, do we have a movie? Do we have a screenplay, a stage production, something to, you know, adaptation of these stories, these poems, this memoir? Do we have something on the horizon that, you know, you might be working on? That you can share? It's an exclusive on Our Breakthrough Podcast.
The goal is to turn the memoir into a movie. So every day I get out there and I'm networking. I am getting the books out there, and I just moved to where I am now. And it's like I sell a book every day, and I get people saying, I can't wait till you turn this book into a movie. So they're speaking it into existence. And I'm like, okay, God, people are saying the book should be a movie. I had a Georgia State student who read the book, and he said, reading the book is like reading a movie script. So that's the goal.
There it is.
To turn the book into a movie, because I need people to see that this woman has been through so much, but yet she has overcame it with God in her life. So when people see that, they'll know that if you keep God first and you keep on pushing, you'll be all right. You will make it. It will get better. Because like I'm here, I'm still standing. As many as times that I wanted to give up, but I didn't, I'm here. Encouraging others, inspiring others, motivating others. Like, hey, listen, I'm here. Look at me. I didn't turn to drugs. I didn't use any of that to help me get through. I turned to God. And that's who helped me get through. And that's why I'm here, still standing, encouraging you to still stand no matter what you go through.
Oh my goodness. Amen to that. Amen to that. Because wow. I can't wait. Listen, I'm gonna have to audition. You know, I'll go through the audition process. Okay, you let me know when casting opens up, because that is going to be a good movie. I'm gonna be excited to see it. I'll be excited for your premiere day when you are promoting for it. It's going to be spectacular, because, you know, sometimes you hear people's stories and you're like, oh my goodness, you went through this and you look nothing like what you've been through. Yes. Okay. Just the way that you smile, it exudes, you know, radiance, it exudes, you know, optimism and hope for the future. Yes. I mean, there's nothing in you that says, okay, she had these devastating losses. She had to witness some things that were really traumatic. There's nothing that says it. And I think that's the beauty. That's, like you said, it's the beauty of God being at the center. So I think that's amazing that you brought that home. I just want to reiterate some of the things that you said. The fact that you talked about journaling, the fact that you talked about just, knowing God, staying in church. And sometimes as kids, and I know kids that feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to go. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to listen to this, but you never know. Something in there that child is absorbing, something that they can remember or something that they can recall when they're out in the world and their parents aren't nearby or they don't have someone that they can call on. They realize, well, I do remember there is somebody upstairs that is looking over me, and they can actually hang on to that. So that is really key for parents that are listening, that it's okay if your child right now, if you feel like they're wayward, you feel like they're not listening, you feel like they don't understand, but just know that they're going to recall something. They're going to recall some type of nugget, whatever value system that you instilled in them, that they're going to recall it at the most opportune time that will get them through some of their challenges. I love that you talked about just taking a chance, being courageous and being brave, and not even so much for yourself, but for those that may need the word. And that's why we say a lot of what we're doing, our gifts, our talents, our anointing, it's not for us. It's for someone else, and someone else is waiting. They're waiting for that book. They're waiting for that movie. Some of their lives depend on it. So that is really special. Our deepest condolences to you for all of the losses that you had, because I can relate to a lot of those losses that you've had. And shout out to your daughter. I know that she's going to be a really, really strong young lady as she's watching her mother be strong and take on the world, because that's another thing. We are modeling for other people, whether it be people we know, people we don't know, those that are close to us. So kudos to you for taking the charge and conquering, the world, and really listening to this assignment so that you realize, okay, you have a special call on your life to actually get this out to other people. So talk to people just for a moment before we wrap, where they can find you, where they may be able to find your latest book, or just to stay updated on what you have coming next, because we definitely want to know. So you can come back to our Breakthrough podcast and give an exclusive about what's coming next.
So I am available on Facebook as author Tamika Reed, Instagram as author_Tamika_Reed, and I do have a Amazon authors page on Amazon. So you can just put in Tamika Reed and everything will come up, my bio, links to my audio book and my other books. And I'll always update it. So you will be tuned in for the 5th book that's coming. And I'm excited about that because that one is for my preteens. So I am so excited about that, because they need to know that they are beautiful. And they don't have to wait on anyone to let them know that they are beautiful. They can just look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful.
Yes.
So that one, I'm excited about that. I am so excited. This was never my plan. So I'm going along with God's plan.
Mm-hmm. Divine order. Yeah.
That's right. So here I am. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited too. I have teens in my family, and I can't really say they're preteens, but I'm telling you, these teenagers, they need the guidance, they need the confidence, and most importantly, they need that self-esteem that a lot of our kids are missing. Whether they're missing a parent, whether they're just dealing with peer pressure, they're dealing with bullying, it's something. And as a grown woman, I know my mantra now. My favorite song that I wake up to this morning is Good Morning Gorgeous. So that is, so shout out to Mary J, because whatever it is that gets you through, right? Whether it's an affirmation, whether you said it's standing in the mirror and saying you're beautiful and saying I love you, and hearing that, and in that repetition, at some point it takes root. So that is truly powerful, Tamika. I am so honored that we had this conversation. I'm honored to know your story. I'm honored that you were willing to share it with me, with our people. And so I wish you all the best. And I am so excited for everybody that is listening to this. You definitely have to stay locked into our Breakthrough podcast. I am Vernae Taylor, your host. We are the place where you can come to a safe space, real people, real stories and experiences to give you the breakthrough map to go from breakdown to breakthrough, from pain to purpose, from your past to living your greatest story. Make sure you like and subscribe our Breakthrough Podcast across all social media platforms, all streaming platforms. I will be sure to have all of Tamika Reed's her handles online and where you can find her so that you can follow up with her. But until next time, keep breaking through. Bye.
That was amazing.